we just had I guess there was a mass shooting in Maine, like 4 or 5 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
or 3 days ago even. I don't know. I lost track. I haven't read much about it, but apparently some guy shot up a bowling alley, and they killed 18 people, I think. And I don't know. I was just thinking like, well, maybe your first reaction was like, well, what's your first reaction to that? I guess before I make a
Well, there's 18 families that are not attended to, which is, I think, where the most of the attention should be going right now. We're too busy being interested in whatever we're interested in, the gossip part of the story, not the compassionate part of the story. And so it's more interested. The gun is more interesting. The psychological part of this person is more interesting. The 18 families, whether it's kids or parents or whatever, is where the attention would be of greatest benefit, and the least interesting, because it's a lot of sobbing and it's a lot of anger and it's a lot of grief, sorrow, and so that doesn't sell much. And so what we're gonna hear about is the part that sells. What's the psychological profile of the guy? What kind of gun did he have? What's his background? I've only heard about it. He had a military background and a military background in arms of some kind, and today I heard he had a recent breakup, and all that. Which, okay. And are we going to hear about what happened the previous 5 years in this guy's life? Because that doesn't happen because of one breakup. That doesn't happen because of what happened in the last 2 weeks. Somebody going to that extreme, that's years of something. That's not days or weeks or months of something. And we're not going to get that story.
yeah.
They don't have time or desire to produce a real profile of it, which is a big problem with what we got going on today. Is everybody wants to play junior psychologist out of 5-minute clips of a situation rather than years of study. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just hope all those families get some of the attention, because they've been scarred for life.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. Like that leads me to sort of wonder, like, how do you get compassionate? You know what I mean? Like, that seems like a compassionate response. Like, and in a way you're saying, I mean, our society is lacking in compassion, right? Like, and I think maybe that's a characteristic that hopefully you harbor, is like just compassion as a way to lead with. Somehow you lead with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where do you focus it?
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start focusing compassion, then you start losing compassion. So we can start focusing it on the children of survivors. Well, then the parents of survivors lose. So we're creating loss as we start minimizing compassion, and then, because ultimately we're going to be left with who's going to be compassionate towards the shooter.
Yeah.
What did he have going on? Because it's pretty easy to put this guy in a pretty villainous perspective.
Yeah.
And who wants to hear about everything he has going on based on the amount of damage that he's done? It's a big call to order, and probably decades of spiritual practice to even think of being that kind of compassionate, rather than wanting revenge or wanting justice or any of those other things first. It's like, the guy, and I guess the guy took his own life too. That's the other thing.
Yes, that happened. Yeah.
And so, how does that resolve anything? So we've experienced a whole bunch of loss, and it's not going to get fixed. It's not going to get fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a pretty unacceptable answer these days. Here it is, boom, and it's not going to get fixed. And what are you going to do with that? How are we going to live with that? Well, we got two choices. We're either going to live with it together or we're going to live with it separately. Only one of those makes it bearable. So we're pretty, and what makes it bearable is this phrase I'm working out right now, is touching the untouchable. Is that, well, that's what's going to make it bearable. Is we got to be willing to go in and be willing to touch the untouchable, and we got to be willing to have the untouchable touched for these kind of things to be bearable again, because nothing is getting better around this stuff. Is people are becoming more and more isolated, more and more separated, and we got to put on some kid gloves and walk gently into these things, not hastily with harsh and demanding anger and frustration, and because it's worldwide. Here's an instance we're talking about, but this is a worldwide occurrence.